It is another men liking stuff, and this men liking stuff, you may tell. Okay, Dead Guy's wearing a Dungeons and Dragons shirt, but we are talking Superman. That's how Dead Guy rolls. He just has to be anachronistic. This is a very personal men liking stuff because my husband Steven is joining because we're talking Superman, and we're recording this on Steven's birthday. And Steven, what are we doing for your birthday after this?
We are going to see Superman in the theaters for the fifth time.
Well, fifth time for you, fourth time for me.
Yes, yeah, you still have some catching up to do.
I have some. Well, I'll let you have that one. So
Okay, this is my victory.
this is well, it's your thing.
Yes.
This is the whole purpose of men liking stuff. You're allowed to
Look,
like stuff.
look, look,
Uh, don't flaunt
look.
your chain, man.
There you, well,
It's
I don't wear
it's
this
it's
regularly,
giving
so
me
I just had to keep
palpitations.
up with everyone else.
Don't flaunt your chain. Yeah. Okay. Dead guy, how many times have you seen Superman, the new Superman, the gun Superman already?
It's four. We're rolling on four. T twice in a row, and then once I heard this was happening, I was like, well, let's watch it again, refresh, and
Yeah,
yeah.
we saw one and two like what, 2 days apart? We went
No,
on
it was the
Friday.
next
It
day.
was the next day. Okay. Kurt, how many times have you seen the new Superman?
So four, I did the Friday it came out, and then the Saturday again. So I did like the 2 days back to back, and then a week later,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Th
a little bit
th
after that.
there's just something about this new movie, and they keep saying like it's Superman again, but Superman is different things to different people. So, uh, Kern, how did you originally get into Superman? Like, when did you get into it, and what got you into it?
So that would be Superman 3, the extended TV cut,
Oh boy.
um, with that extended rescue sequence right at the very beginning, with like the kid in the tree and all the silliness like really raised up. So that would be back in about 93 when I was about three or four. And then that was followed on by the Doomsday and Beyond audio drama from the BBC, and then Lois and Clark. And then I kind of took, early teenage years, I kind of lost interest in Superman, focused more on Star Trek, and then came back to it when I started actually picking up books for myself in like my early teens. So yeah, that's it's been a long trek.
That was very cool. Dead guy, what got you? I mean, you do comic stuff
Yeah.
overall. For people who don't know, I've done some voice work for Dead Guy with on his YouTube channel with doing like voiceovers for comics so people who are low vision can experience them. You're usually a Marvel guy though, aren't you? What got you into Superman?
I was since I was a kid. Justice League and Friends, the early George Reeves, Christopher Reeves, all the movies. I'm that old. I'm aging myself. Um, all the way up through the comics. But I always was more of a Batman guy, obviously. But then, I kind of leaned towards getting into Marvel and stuff, and then it hit a phase where I just wasn't happy with the stuff with Superman. I guess I got kind of he was OP for a while, and I got a little bored with it, so I branched out and came back to it around New 52, which wasn't really happy with the character direction they went. But, I did appreciate some of the other stuff. The origin of the Justice League was a cool story, the way they all came together. I really appreciated that. So that got me back into it. So then I did some back reading after that and caught up. But yeah, I've always been a Superman fan, just not a huge Superman fan.
That's
Now,
okay. It's not men obsessing over stuff, it's men liking stuff. You're good. We don't want the obsession. Well, I mean, it was the Christopher Reeve Superman for me. Steven, this is weird. Like, I don't know, but we're doing the Lois Lane and like Clark Kent interview thing. I'm gonna ask, even if I didn't know, what got you into Superman?
Well, first of all, I'm really impressed that Kern got in on it with Superman 3, which is arguably only exceeded by Superman 4 as like the worst Superman movie.
We'll get no negativity now. We'll get to that.
There was fun in
That
Superman
no,
3.
that is question four. What got
Oh,
you
okay.
into it?
But you know what? I think I first got into it when I was too young to know what even superheroes were. Actually, the gateway drug was the original Captain Marvel, um, Shazam, as they call him. I
Yeah.
remember seeing the action figure at Savettes when I was really young, and I got it. I loved it because he had this really cool red outfit with the yellow lightning, and I didn't know what the hell it was, but I really wanted that. And from that, I got into Superman and the comics, and then the filmation cartoons and the reruns of George Reeves, and on and on and on.
Was Superman 3 the one with Richard Pryor?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that gets dunked on, but I love that movie as a kid. I don't care. I'm with you, Kurt. I'm with you, Kurt.
Best of the four. Best of the four.
Yeah, okay. Now, Dead Guy, you mentioned that period where it was sort of eh, I think we all go through a period in our teens where it's like, oh, Superman isn't cool anymore. But I mean, you know comics culture. And
Hmm.
I actually had to explain this kind of Blue Boy Scout thing to Kern, but I know you know it.
Yep.
So I'll let you kind of do the primer on what happened there. And then what do you say to that sort of Superman's not relevant Blue Boy Scout crowd now that Superman's cool again?
Okay. I got a sort of a response to that. The Superman being cool via in universe or IRL is always an ebb and flow situation because it's whether people want to admit it or not. Superman is political. It's a political situation. You can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. The dude's going to other countries and saving people. That's got to be like irritating some people and like what the hell to other people. It's going to happen, right? So to me, it's always going to ebb and flow, and it depends on the social situations that's going on during the times of the writing and political situations that are going on during the times of writing. And I think for a while there, everything was kind of quiet and it got boring. So Superman became OP and they were having to create these ridiculous villains just to knock him down. And I'm like, that's where I got kind of bored with it. I was more into the real stuff. Marvel, people are dying in Marvel left and right. But then the death of Superman rolled along and that kind of sucked me back in. I felt like, okay, are they really going to kill him this time? Are they really going to do something bold and do something different with Superman? And that's when I started paying attention. And again, that was a ebb and flow. They took a break on it and let people go back and talk about all the old stories that were happening, what could happen, and it started interest again. That's just my take though.
I mean, that was 93 Death of Superman. So that was the whole like post Dark Knight, post Watchmen period
Yep.
where comics were. It's funny because that was the comics were relevant period too.
Hmm.
So, Stephen, I know you feel strongly about this one. So I'm going to let you talk now that that guy's done the setup because you were reading like straight through that. You even managed the Superman red, Superman blue era that I
It's
couldn't.
yeah.
I love the designs, but what? Oh, I see. I did the raise hand thing by accident. I warned you guys I was gonna do that.
So him being cool, what fluctuates, what
Well,
makes him cool or uncool?
yeah, what do you think about that whole anti-Superman segment as they're mowing my lawn outside? Anti-Superman segment of kind of DC Comics fandom, Marvel Zombies aside, and how do we not do to them what they did to us now that Superman's cool again?
Well, I mean, as far as uh, Superman being cool, it really always depends on two things. First of all, it depends on who's writing the Superman books, because that character rises and falls on the writing because he can be. I just figured out what Dead Guy meant by OP, overpowered. If you emphasize the super, you're missing the story. You got to emphasize the man. And most people, a lot of them miss that. And they kept coming up with villains who were stronger to try to beat him up, and it was never about that. The writing could get with Superman can get terrible, like just awful. As far as the social situation that makes him cool or uncool, well, we were in a period of where anti-heroes were the thing, and the idea that doing good for for the sake of doing good was for saps. And we've seen societally what happens when people become all about I got mine, you get yours, but you getting yours means I'm having less of mine, so I'm going to stop you from getting yours. Like it's the idea, the virtues of selflessness, um, and honesty and being true to yourself and your own nature, or your good nature, the better voices, has come through again because people have seen the alternative. But the writing in the comics, the writing talk about ebb and flow, and they've had some of the best comic book writers or most popular comic book writers switch from Marvel to DC and write Superman and do awful things. Straczynski, J. Michael Straczynski, who was lauded as this great comic book writer, did a storyline in Superman that was so badly received, he didn't even finish it. He left the books by mutual agreement.
Wow.
And Brian Michael Bendis, who did great things at Marvel, came and just wrecked what Peter Tomasi had been doing with Superman, Lois, and their young son John Kent. Just wrecked it. And that had been Tomasi's run was the best Superman run since I think Jerry Ordway and John Byrne.
Some of the best Superman stories end up in little one shots too, like they're out of the way. I remember this story when Lex Luthor was president in the books. Seems so prophetic now. Where Talia, uh, I think she was going by Talia Head at the time, but Talia al Ghul called Clark Kent, and Superman swooped in and solved the problem instead of reporting on the problem. And Talia was furious because she didn't want Superman; she wanted Clark Kent, which I thought was a really interesting power scaling solution that got overlooked. Now, Kearn, you dropped like the first hot take of this men liking stuff right away, saying, I got into it in Superman 3. So I'm really interested if that's going to be a runner, but much respect. What do you say to people who are like, Superman's not relevant, Superman's too good, like he's not realistic, whatever? Because you're clearly a super fan.
I would say read the books. That's the first thing. Pick up a book like I'd say Camelot Falls, actually. If someone's saying he's not relevant, pick up a book like Camelot Falls. And although there's problems with that story, the arc of the story kind of shows um, why Superman does what he does, and kind of maybe he's helping too much, maybe he's not, but that kind of balance and that kind of shows why he does it. Alternatively, I point them to A World Without Superman, because that's the kind of the short series of books they published after he died, but before they wanted to bring him back. And obviously, in that one, it's about the world without him, obviously by the title. But you see, Lois having to manage. You see what the Justice League have to do. You see all the little things that he does around the world and in Metropolis that just they don't make the books, but those are the little things that kind of make the character, and it kind of speaks to the heart of what Superman is. And you don't often see that, but those are the kind of stories. So I never understood that kind of thinking because there's too much to the character to say he's not relevant.
Yeah.
I would say, find the story that gets you into the character, and if he doesn't, try a different character. That's fine too. Be
Yeah.
not for you.
Yeah, nothing's for anyone. Now, you
Yeah.
predicted my next question about your favorite comic book runs. So Stephen, you already mentioned the Peter Tomasi run. I
Yeah.
should have said your favorite things in general, because I mean, one of my favorite things was Superman being a dad in Superman and Lois. I thought that was really well handled, better than, well, the books didn't get a chance to do that story raising teenagers. That went to the Tom King thing and it got weird. But other than the Tomasi run, Stephen, what are like runs that are your personal favorites that you recommend?
Well, first of all, I don't. I hate to point this out, but it wasn't Tom King who ruined the John
Yeah.
Kent, young John Kent. That was Brian Bendis.
Oh yeah,
Um,
he aged him up.
he aged him up with a
Yeah,
dumb
yeah, yeah.
story where he went off with Jor-El, who was no longer dead, and wound up in a alternate universe where Ultraman kept him depowered in a pit for 10 years
Yeah,
Volcano.
that's right. That's right.
of
But
all the stupid.
okay,
Anyway,
Stephen, the show
the
is called
things I
Men
like,
Liking Stuff.
things I
Yes.
liked, I really liked the refresh John Byrne gave on Man of Steel. One of the best things he did was make Ma and Pa Kent alive. Because previously the idea was Ma and Pa Kent died, and it taught Superman that he had limits to his powers because he couldn't save them from a tropical disease, a tropical illness. But bringing them back is, I think, the most consequential change next to marrying Lois. It was positive. It gave a real family feel. It gave a sense of where Superman came from. You saw his upbringing, and that has been adopted throughout various media adaptations since then. That was a real innovation, and I thought at the time when he depowered him a bit, I thought that was good too. I mean, they always depower Superman, and then it's slowly, he goes right back to being able to move worlds. But that was a great run. The Peter Tomasi run was a fantastic run. He really well handled the Superman and Lois relationship. Interesting thing is that the whole New 52, where they revamped their entire universe, started with a writers' conference where they were trying to find a way to get rid of Superman's marriage to Lois because they thought they couldn't write it interestingly. And in the end, what brought the end of the New 52 was they did a like a one shot showing that the pre New World, pre Flashpoint world, Superman and Lois were still alive but undercover,
Right.
and people loved that Superman was back, like the Superman that they preferred, not this sort of angsty guy wearing jeans. Um, and that really unraveled the whole New 52 because
Yeah.
it was just such a nice thing to see Superman in a caring, respectful relationship with Lois, where she very much held her own, and the challenges of raising young John Kent, a young boy. Uh, there was just such a wonderful feel to it, and it felt like a really natural evolution of the characters. So
Mhm.
that really spoke to me. And that's actually when I stopped reading Superman was when they aged up John Kent. I tried for a bit and I was just, I can't. So
Yeah.
it was but those Peter Tomasi books exist. Like they're found on Amazon. You can get the compilations as well. I would recommend the Super Sons, which he also wrote, which featured a young John Kent
Those were great.
with Damian,
Fun.
Batman's son, as Robin. Fantastic fun comics.
There's some good digital only Superman stories too, aren't they? Like the art is like a red and blue wash. It's really,
Oh yeah,
really nice.
Superman Red and Blue. That came from Batman. I think it was Black and White, or because all the colors they use are shades of red and blue
Yeah,
in that.
it's real pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dead guy, anything else to add from the comics?
Just real quick, because he mentioned New 52, I'll just
Hmm.
bounce from there
Yeah.
because that was my great falling out and when I came back. And yeah, I wasn't happy with they you were nicer than I am. I think they kind of turned him with the even with the movie and the whole Snyderverse with Man of Steel, they kind of turned him into a the goth chick with daddy issues. And I was like, I don't understand. But I'll take it for what it is because I feel Cavill really brought something to that role. Like he did such a good job. He looked great. He sounded great. I loved him as the character. I just didn't like the writing. On past New 52, where you said they I remember they brought in old Superman. Basically, they were like, this is flopping. People aren't digging this at all. What can we do to save it? Bring Superman back. Like the Superman we know, we love. And they found a way to sneak him back in with Lois and he replaced the Superman. That's when I was like, okay, cool. I started reading into it and then Rebirth just spun out of control for me. I was like, this is
Yeah.
just getting so weird. I'm not even sure I want to keep up with this anymore. I mean, you've got Batman in the Mobius chair and everybody's gods and killing each other off. And I'm like, all
Oh,
right,
oh.
this is
Hmm.
getting a little weird as far
It
as DC
started
for me. It's getting
promising.
really
Yeah.
weird. Yes. And then
Yeah.
it went,
That was
Yeah.
a Grant
It's
Morrison-esque takeover of the DC universe for a while. Yeah, Batman in Metron's chair,
that
the whole new
that was
gods
Grant
thing.
Morrison? Why did I think that was Jeff Johns?
I think I
it
might
was
be wrong, but
both.
I believe that the whole
Johns
Mobius
was
chair
writing
thing was,
Batman at the
Oh,
time.
Johns
So
was
it was
writing
both.
Batman at the time. Okay,
It
so
was
there
both of
was.
them.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
To be
Kern,
Wasn't
fair.
that kind of the end of the New 52, the
yeah,
Mobius chair?
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, right.
yeah.
yeah.
For me, that's when I was like, "Meh." I liked what they did with Superman. I kind of just didn't get into Rebirth and I call it my great falling away from DC. I haven't been back until
Yeah.
literally the Superman movie comes out that I've been sitting on and waiting on. Huge James Gunn fan. So, for me, that's the comics was, from Death of Superman on is when I started reading, but then faded out. New 52 just kind of lost interest and then bounced back in a little bit after and was like, never mind. Let's
Yeah.
just let's just wait it out, see if anything interesting pops up.
Kern, I'm sure you've mentioned another run of the Superman comics that you really like. I know you love the Burn run, but
Yeah, I mean, I really love the Bone Run. I would say actually anything from 86 through 2006, that 20-year period, that most of the stories there are pretty good. I think the ones that stand out, obviously, the World Without Superman, as I mentioned before, the Return of Superman, although again, it gets a bit big and less focused. But what that story does really nicely is introduce John Henry. And I think he is one of the best characters because it shows the power of Superman through John Henry. Like he's truly inspired someone to do something and changing lives. And then I think actually the Ruin arc in um, and again that's where you have a friend turn to a villain and the way Clark handles all of that because it keeps happening. It happens with Pete Ross. It happens with who Ruin is. I'm not going to say in case people want to read it. You even get a little bit of that with Mitchell Spitlick, and there are some beautiful moments with Mitchell Spitlick in that book. And Clark's compassion. Obviously, I think I mentioned Camelot Falls, that one, and
mhm, mhm.
Rebirth with John Kent. That started happening around the time I was really becoming a father and really understanding the responsibility. And that run hit home so much to me. Like trying to understand it. It's a different age range, obviously, but like seeing Superman go through some of the things I was feeling and doing, like experiencing as a new father, that was really that was poignant for me. So yeah.
Mhm. Steven, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I also want to mention I think I'm older than the other gentleman here, my fellow Superman fans. When I was a kid, the Kurt Swan era of Superman, he was the artist that defined Superman for decades, written by people like Elliot S. Maggin and stuff like that, all through the 70s. I mean, because of I was a kid, because I had a child's understanding, a child's mentality, I loved those early books. I loved those 70s books. And there's just a magic to them and an innocence to them. I read them now and it's like, okay, I was a child. I was 7 years old or whatever. But there was a fluidity
Mhm.
to the character through Superman and through Action Comics and Justice League. But Kurt Swan really defined the my growing up period with Superman.
Yeah. Now, Kern, I'm going to go back over to you because we already did the. I had a question about where you think the writing went astray. I think we've kind of covered that. So that's
Well, let me
my
just add one
smug.
thing on that
Okay.
quickly.
Okay.
The first issue of Superman of the New 52 is the only comic book I read, look, put it down, picked it back up again, ripped it in half and threw it away. I have never ripped a comic book before or
Wow.
since.
Someone hated it more than me. I'm
I mean,
impressed.
that was
Yeah.
like the single issue because I
Yeah.
started with the single issue on New 52 because it looked weird. I didn't want to wait for the graphic novel. I have since gone and got most of the New 52 because I wanted Superman to read. But yeah, that change, it was just so horrible.
Yeah.
But
I was
Yep.
that after the success of the whole injustice thing because that was a totally parallel earth. I love those games. They're fun. But yeah, that's definitely,
similar
evil
time.
Superman. And it just went bananas. They thought because it worked there, it could work everywhere else. And that guy, do you have, yeah, you're shaking your head.
I mean, I agree. I think that was the first thing I went to was, I think right around then is when it was like, what are you guys doing? Like,
Yeah.
edgy doesn't work. It's not
And I mean,
working.
the Injustice franchise is great. Like Dexstar was Atrocitus's like special move. There were you could fight as Gorilla Grodd. It was awesome, but own universe. Yeah, Steven, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I want to just back up something Kern said, which is, yeah, the first issue of Superman in the New 52, the fact that he was separated from Lois Lane, they were barely work colleagues, and she had this other boyfriend that he overheard them saying they were going to go have sex. It just felt completely unholy. The idea that Superman and Lois were apart and we were going to start all over again. And her having this other boyfriend, it just felt like, no, you're missing one of the anchors of Superman. And
Yeah.
so I felt the same way as Karen, like, what is this?
Yeah, unholy was the way I felt about the Superman Wonder Woman ship.
I mean,
That was
there is
just
that. There is
like
that.
Fanboy service.
there was nothing wrong with the way it was executed. There was just a squick factor to me. First of all, they're not compatible in terms of worldview. Wonder Woman comes from this very different place with Themyscira, and Superman was raised in Kansas. And that's one of, to me, the fundamentals of it, right? The essential elements of the character. To me, I'm going to soapbox a little here, forgive me. Every superhero has some fundamentals that you can change everything else about them. But if you remove one of those core pillars, then it's no longer the character. It's something different. And you guys touched on the Kents before. Uh, to me, I think that the Kents are, and the Kents sort of being alive and an active influence in Superman's life are fundamental. And one of the things the Gunn film got right, but that was one of the biggest people who had visceral negative reactions to it were, well, there are a bunch of country bumpkins. They're from Kansas. Yeah, I mean, Dead Guy, you're the American here. Like, do you want to speak? Like, I
No,
have
I'm not.
been.
I'm from
Okay,
Kentucky.
fair. Okay, you're a Kentuckian, but that's a similar, not the same because that's sort of the mountain area. But I mean, what did you think of the Kents? Because I personally liked the way they gave respect to flyover country.
I appreciated it. It was a good take.
Yeah,
The accent for Ma was a little thick for me for my blood. I've been through Kansas, but I appreciated it because it felt comic booky. It felt cartoony, which is what it's supposed to freaking feel like. And with Pac-Man, I'm familiar with the actor, so
yeah,
instantly I knew he was just gonna nail whatever was handed to him. I really liked it. I appreciated it. It made him very relatable, very human being instead of some I don't know. In some of the stories, they try to make them almost like pantheons to Clark, and I'm
yeah.
like, well, they're just people. Even Clark knows that. They're just human beings.
Yeah, I mean, my friend Bobby Calloway, he started a quote list when I described the Justice League as a hot fucking mess with a farmhouse in the middle of it, because that sort of Kansas from the 1930s was where Superman has been stuck, right? And I
Hmm.
really enjoyed they gave a bit of love to modern Kansas. The good people can come from that part of the world. Even though I agree with you, her accent was sliding over to Missouri a little bit. And I think that maybe because James Gunn is from there, he took a bit of artistic license.
Yeah,
Apparently, they worked real hard on those accents. And I
it's
mean, there is
great.
sort of that border thing. Steven, yeah.
Just to add to that, the actors actually spoke to the parents of
Okay.
a guy who works for the Howard Stern show, who is from Kansas, and they had like calls with them to get a legitimate accent. So they
Yeah.
sound like a couple, an older couple who are from living in that area. So they didn't just make the accents up.
Yeah.
They spoke to people who live like
Yeah,
who that
Oh
is
yeah,
them.
I mean the accents are Kansas City, and then the around surrounding area is definitely more southern. But yeah, Kern, what'd you think about the Kents? Because you're not in North America,
Yeah, so I think so. I grew up, like I said, basically with Jonathan Martha from Lois and Clark. So that's kind of my gold standard.
right?
And for me, one of the scenes I loved in that show is the first time Lois meets them. Is she calls Jonathan a pedo or something like that, and then she goes home and she's like, I need a fax machine, and she starts describing what a fax machine is, and you can see Martha thinking, and she just goes over, lifts up a cloth, and there's the fax machine. She's like, oh yeah, I've got paper, it's all good. I just had to check, and Lois is totally like embarrassed because she's assuming they're stupid. So the Kent's kind of being a modern family, but also, farmers is a thing that's in my head. And that first phone call scene in the new film felt, on the first viewing, made me feel that the Kents were kind of, I don't, just not where I was expecting them to be.
And that was a
Um,
common reaction. Yeah, like a lot of people, if they didn't like something, that was in the top three of stuff that caught them off guard.
But I think by the time you get to the scene with Clark and Jonathan Kent on the
Yeah.
bench, I was fully invested with all that family, and every single time I have tears in my eyes when Pa gives his little speech. It's
Oh,
just cannot help it every time. I know it's coming, but it's tears in my eyes because that's perfect Kent, and yeah, they should be part of that. They should not be killed. Every time they do it, it's a mistake. You get a good scene, one or two like panels, maybe a page, and then it's all downhill from there. So just don't do that.
yeah.
You
Batman's the
need
one
them.
with the dead parents. Superman's the one with, yeah, and never the twain shall meet.
I mean, he's got his dead parents. He doesn't need two sets. Like,
Right,
yeah,
exactly. And I
he
mean,
doesn't
I
need to be
think
jealous
I
or
do
greedy.
think that that was another fundamental of the gun film that they nailed, and very not totally different take. They've gone there in the comics before, but this was the first kind of big screen thing that Jor-El is sort of a nefarious figure. And
Hmm.
again, they've done it. And I think that the nice thing about the gun film is I think everything led to kind of the point, which was that Sunsplash speech of, Superman gives right before Crypto Beast Luthor. And there's this little stumble in it as if he's just thinking about what he's going to say on the spot. And I do think that you don't get the same layman's wisdom. Again, good people can come from that part of America factor if the Kents aren't a little backward. I think it also explains why they may have been people there just don't talk about stuff. And it gave that whole hide your identity a way of making sense without the Kevin Costner Paul Kent that always seemed a little abusive to me. Yeah, Stephen. I mean, I'm just
No
going there.
condescending.
Like,
Yeah.
right. Well, he was just sort of like, you gotta hide it. It's like, why? It's a teenager. You tell a teenager to do something, they're gonna do the opposite thing. Like,
Yeah,
that
he
was
struck me
really
as
weird.
those fathers who tell gay kids to just hide it.
Just
See,
pray the
funny
gay
you
away. You'll
said
be
that.
all right.
That's a tangent I will not get into with
Okay.
the John Kent run. Maybe I'll say, should I talk about that? Because that was
It's your show. I just wanted to say that anybody who thinks that the Kent's use of the cell phone is unrealistic are people who are used to cell phones. But there are older people who don't walk around with phones all the time, who don't understand how close do you have to sit for the speaker to work and stuff. I don't think that was ridiculous at all. I think there's people like that.
oh, I think everybody who's had to set up a parent's phone
Yeah.
could relate to that. Like that is a thing. Kern, yeah.
Uh, so I was going to say with the Pa Kent in the Man of Steel, that kind of weird hurricane scene. I think what they and this is a guess, purely speculation, but what it feels like they were trying to do is cover the kind of 5 years of Smallville of Pa Kent trying to protect his son in
Yeah,
2 minutes of screen time.
right.
And I can almost see why they did it. If that's what they were trying to do, like because that's basically what happens to Jonathan in Smallville, right?
Yeah.
He spends so much time that he pops his heart trying to protect Clark. So if that's what they were trying to do, I can kind of see the logic, but not necessarily the execution. 'Cause,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
um,
No, sorry, go ahead.
no. So I
Okay,
think
you're good.
that's where it ends. Yeah.
Okay. Now, dead guy, you brought up the Cavill Superman. And I agree with you. I think he had a lot of potential. He had like he sort of Henry Cavill has this thing where he tends to understand the parts he's cast in better than the people who
He's
hired him
perfect, and
to
it
be in
pisses
the
me off.
I mean, The Witcher was the same way. He kind of got it when the rest of the show
Hmm.
didn't. But yeah, I do think I would have loved, and I think I think we talked about this, that I would have loved to see him get a happy Superman script. Like, I get why he was wrong for what James Gunn did, because obviously that lampshaded Peacemaker line about Superman not being ripped, um, Cavill's wrong. He's a big dude. But it, okay, so Krypton blows up. Is this an essential Superman thing? Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The lone
Steven?
survivor,
Yeah,
or so he thinks lone
right.
survivor is ideal. It's essential to him only having earthly parents to grow up on. and understand their perspective and
Yeah.
their outlooks,
Yeah.
not Krypton's. So I think it's essential.
So the Kents being alive, we all agree, is sort of one of those things that there has to be some influence some way. Because yeah, it's a juxtaposition and it kind of goes back, I think, to those sort of Dust Bowl New Deal origins, the same way you got Aunt May instead of Peter Parker's parents. What about the kryptonite? Because I thought they handled the Smallville problem in the gun film well. There isn't a lot of it, so it's not every episode is kryptonite, but it was still there in a way. Is kryptonite an essential Superman thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So Kern?
He's got to have a
I think
weakness. Other than people, he's got to have a weakness.
I think for the kind of overall mythos, yes, it's you need it for the kind of mythos of the character. You don't need it in every story, and a little kryptonite goes a long way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sparingly used, once a year maybe, every
Mhm.
12 issues, something like that, fine. But
Yeah.
once you
I
get all
I
over the
think
place, no.
sorry, Kern. The best use of kryptonite for me was in the Silver Age when they introduced the different colors of kryptonite.
Yeah.
And they introduced red kryptonite, which has like you can't predict the results. So you had Superman with a giant insect head for 24 hours. Like that was just part of the silliness of that age. But I mean, red kryptonite was hilarious. But yeah, kryptonite is there's lots of metaphors and so on as to the poison of his home, his original home, especially in the gun Superman. It makes sense, but yeah, you gotta. It's like that guy said, you gotta have something
Yeah.
that is ultimately deadly to him.
Yeah. And what a great use of Metamorpho in the
Yes.
gun film. Like, amazing. What about the Daily Planet? Because they've been Superman stories, and they've been okay where he's not a reporter. Is the Daily Planet essential in some way?
The cast of the
Yes.
Daily Planet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clark doesn't always have to be there, but it has to be
I think
part of that world.
Lois being a reporter is more important than Clark being
Yes.
a reporter for me. Yeah.
Yeah, you need Perry, you need Lois. Jimmy, I don't think I've ever read a story where I've really gone, okay, we need Jimmy. Um, but I've only read from '86, so there could be some Silver Age and whatnot where he's actually useful. But like modern age, I would say Jimmy, he has his good points and he has his good points, not necessary. But Perry, Lois Lane, and the planet in the background is needed.
Yeah. Now, what about the Lois Lane relationship?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think so. I
Essential.
think so. And that pushback they showed that she's willing to challenge him. I thought that's something in the comics that had never really been in a movie before. And I thought that was good. I mean, the fact that the audition was that a reworked version of that scene. Now, what about what are other elements? The suit. Are
Bella,
we are we red undies? No red undies.
Andes.
I'm agnostic. I don't really care one way or the other. Like
You
honestly, I don't care.
you want to hear what's weird? To me, he always looked naked without the red undies. Like it, I was just I can't
For a
look
blue guy.
there because something's missing. And I don't, it looked too much like Nightwing's costume. And we know where a large portion of Nightwing's fan base is.
I
So
didn't laugh at that. What?
right. I mean, we've all seen those copper tone covers that everyone went bat crap over, pardon the pun, with Nightwing. But okay, so the marriage and the kids. I think that one's not essential, but I do think it gives Superman a unique place that he actually is a good father, that he actually is a good husband. Not perfect, but one thing I liked about the Superman and Lois show. Has everybody seen that show?
I
Oh, you
have.
haven't seen it, Dead Guy. I think you'll like it.
Oh, it's dead guy. So good.
Is
Yeah.
it,
So
I mean, is it in the Arrowverse technically?
No,
no, not really.
it's sort of its own thing.
It's
But I mean,
Arrowverse, multiverse, but not
but I
in
mean,
their.
he was on Supergirl, and Supergirl's.
It's a different Superman. It's
Yeah.
a whole different universe. There's no other
But
superheroes
he
or anybody
was
in
All
this
right.
universe.
his
Listen, I don't have a good
first
experience with Superman TV shows. You know,
yeah,
This is
Lois.
really good.
Yeah,
it
it's
the experience with the kids of there's a moment where the boys are driving him crazy and they walk away and he just looks at the sky like help me. It's like no yellow sun powers in the world can help you with teenagers,
I
right?
actually think that show
No,
has
they
two
can't.
of the best Superman saves of all time.
Oh, which
The
ones?
So you've got the train. There's a train scene where someone runs over a train track, it derails it, and it's not the kind of fly in front and try and slow the train. It's he picks up the train, has it on his back, and mends the tracks, and then
That's
puts it
right.
down and runs off, and goes back off after the villain. And it's just like finally a sensible like you use your brain to do the save,
Yeah.
like the exact opposite of catching the plane in Superman Returns, like doing it the right way. As
Instead
you
of
Yeah.
got that
punching a
one,
dude through 7 buildings, you
yeah.
fixed. There you go. Good job, buddy.
And the second one is really subtle, and uh, this might just be because of my experience as a dad, and so it could totally be that. But in the first season, one of his kids, heat vision, switches on in the middle of a football game,
Yeah.
and his kid can't not let it out. Like he knows his kid can't let it out, and so he basically puts his hands in front of his kid's face and just says "blast," and
Yeah.
he burnt. Clark's hands get burnt, and every time, again, tears in my eyes, and it sounds stupid, but it's that fundamental, like he's saving his kid the best way he can, and like it's just perfectly Superman, just putting everything else aside for that person that needs to save.
I agree with you. A dead guy. Everything that the Arrowverse was is Superman and Lois is not. It's
There's
actually
yeah.
a show for adults that adults can enjoy, and it focuses on the man and the relationship, not so much the super. The Arrowverse. They were lucky if they had two good seasons of any series before it went into the toilet.
Well, the first
But
season of The Flash was very good.
yeah,
But
Very
yeah,
good is being generous.
there's no grimdark in Superman and Lois. Like there's no
Okay.
moody,
Okay.
pouty 14s. Yeah, it
and if you like the death of Superman in the comics, I don't want to give a spoiler, but this is it deals with the Superman story and its conclusion in the best, uh, most rewarding way I've ever seen.
now
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
it's
Okay.
interesting to me how I mean, there was that time where comics fans absolutely could not stand Lois Lane. They labeled her Gold Digger Lois. And there was a real
She
oh
made
yeah, there
better
was a
money than he
real
did.
negative yeah, there was a real negative energy surrounding the fact that they misunderstood why she was interested in Superman and not Clark. But I do think that it's interesting to see things come around of there's always those people that want him with Wonder Woman or want him with, someone else, but they keep coming back to Lois. So for each of you, Dega, I'll start with you as a returning fan, what is it about Lois that makes her right for Clark?
She is almost his spectral opposite in a spectrum scale. She knows what she wants. She goes and gets it. She'll manipulate people and lie and trick people to get a story. I really like that about her. She's a reporter through and through. She's about her career. She's strong-willed, which Superman is strong-willed, but always to do the right thing and to, help and save people. Lois, do the right thing so I can get the good story. And I really like that about her. She doesn't think too far ahead, but she isn't stupid. They didn't make her a ding dong. She's a very intelligent woman. She just gets a little one track minded. Superman's got the whole world to worry about. So I feel like they're the exact opposites, which just makes them perfect for each other. They balance each other out. She gives him this dose of reality. Like, dude, Smallville, wake up. You know what I mean? Not everybody's a nice person, so sometimes it's okay to punch somebody into space. And then, like he's all like, well, Lois, I mean, and then he's on the other side giving her the Kent's point of view on everything. And I think that's important. Like, I think it's very important
I
to
love
tell a
the
Superman story right.
Yeah, I love the use of punk music in the gun film to sort of show how
Yes.
they had to invent a crappy punk band so they could crap on a punk band. I kind of because it wouldn't be a Superman movie to crap on something, right?
That's not invented for this film. That's a running gag apparently. It's supposedly in
Really?
Creature Commandos and
Oh, okay. So it's
possibly
a
Peacemaker season one. I don't know.
oh,
But
you know what are they, the Mighty Crabjoys? Is that what the
yeah,
band's called?
Hmm.
You know
yeah.
they're
So
coming back.
it's a running gag now. So that's the connecting tissue.
I think they're a band now
Yes.
because I watched the credits and I believe the end credit song was the Mighty Crab Joy. So
But
I
And
think they
James
James
actually
Gunn is
Gunn
in
threw
it.
wrote the
together.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they threw a band together, and this could be awesome for whoever just got involved with that project because it might be a super band. Who knows? You know, like you've got all these punk rockers joining to just to pitch in for this would be pretty cool. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
look into that.
So, Kern, what's your take on Lois as an essential element of Superman?
I think it's that she holds her own against Clark. Like one of the first books I read, and it's during the kind of lead up to Infinite Crisis, where it starts with, "I picked the wrong day to tell Superman I never wanted to see him again," and then the whole issue is her like fighting an OMAC in their house, and it also flashed back into why she and Clark were having a fight. But it's the fact that she could hold her own against an OMAC long enough for Clark to get there, while still doing the reporter thing, whilst being a parent later on. But at the same time, you see the insecurities of her with Wonder Woman. So there's scenes where Clark's saying he's going away or she's going away, and Wonder Woman pops in, and she's like, "Oh, okay, no, this is the wrong day. I'm not feeling. I can't deal with Wonder Woman. Like the perfect woman, he chooses me. This doesn't feel right." But they still work together. Um, so yeah, there's those kind of things, and she reminds Clark of things that he forgets. Like, she leaves a note like, "Go to sleep," and then she phones Wonder Woman, and is like, "Make sure Clark goes to sleep because he's not going to. I'm on an assignment. He's just going to do stuff." It's that kind of completion without overstepping the line. They work together. Yeah, they just there is something about the way they there are opposites, but it works and they complete each other.
Yeah, I do think those insecurities are different because she is a very humanizing factor. Like I always thought, going back to the first Christopher Reeve film, the fact that she's not the standard Hollywood glamour queen was really important there. You can't have her as a bad speller now because, well, computers solved that problem. So they went with the grotesque amount of sugar that she puts in her and the fact that she is kind of hyper independent and almost like an avoidant attachment style. I thought it was interesting. Stephen, this is going to be a bit awkward, but what's the significance of Lois Lane to Superman in your mind? No pressure. Like a dead cat. This just
I,
got. I'm
I,
questioning my choices now.
I don't understand the pressure. I think that everything Kearn and Deadguy said, I would agree with, and that you said, I would agree with. All of those things are, and I think it's also he's a Kansas farm boy. And now there are independent women in Kansas. There are, farms where the wife is the backbone of the family and stuff. So I think he's attracted to that because he sees that quality, but also she's so urban.
Yeah.
She's so city. And she's so human in that I think he sees some of the best qualities of humanity in her. She tries really hard to do the right thing, but she has to overcome insecurities and weaknesses and so on. And he's aware of those. And I think he's just fascinated and impressed and kind of awed by her. And this is the awkward part, much the same way I am with you.
I was gonna say the whole flaunting your chain thing off the top when you said urban. It's like, yeah, this is why it's awkward.
I meant city girl, city girl.
Well, Stephen used to see me when I was doing video game journalism, and at E3, literally like putting my foot in the door. It was usually at EA where I had to be super aggressive. And he started calling me the lowest lane of video game journalism. And it's like, was it too much? He goes, no, you had to. But there is that almost too much quality to Lois that I think is important because Superman is so nice. Yeah.
He
So
tries.
we,
That's what I'll give him. He tries.
and that I think is good. And that brings us into our final kind of segment of this. Stephen, I'll go back to you so you can get a clean one. Um, I was like, I may regret my life choices here. But where do you want to see it go next? Because it was clearly a solid start to the movie and TV universe. At the point the comics, I said I wasn't going to go on the Tom King run, but we might do that here. Where do you want to see it go now that we've got a very different Supergirl? Now that we've got Crypto, who's such a scene stealer, I've got him here on my cup. Um, where would you like this to go now that it's flying high, pardon the pun?
We're talking about the movie series.
Anything, comics, movies, what haven't they done in Superman, or what would you like to see them go back to?
In the comics, I would like them to have Superman get out of the shower and discover that everything from just before John Kent got aged up never really happened. And they go back to John Kent being a boy, so we can watch him grow and Lois and Clark grow as parents with him. I would like that. Superboy Prime can punch the wall of time or something. Now there's a deep cut for people. As far as the movies, I don't. I just want to. I want to be a passenger. I don't want to think about where I want it to go because I don't want to put preconceived notions on it that I might be disappointed with. I trust Gunn. I trust his take on Superman and the other characters that he introduced, and I just want to see where he goes with it because I trust the journey. But I would really, really like to see Brainiac as a villain, especially in a world that is so interconnected digitally and so on. He's way more scary now than he was when he first appeared in those hot pants.
I'm surprised you didn't say all the Legion of Superheroes.
No, no, uh,
Supergirl put you off that?
no. The Legion of Superheroes. What put me off that is all of the attempted reboots they've tried to do with that,
Okay.
and each one left a bad taste in my
But
mouth.
it's
So
James Gunn. He did Guardians of the Galaxy. He can
he
do
could do
anything.
he could, but it's not on the slate. It doesn't mean they can't make an
Yeah.
appearance, but I don't want that many characters to appear. Though I trust Gunn if he was to do it, I think he would do it in the right way.
Dead guy, what would you like to see either in the comics or in sort of extended media?
Comics, I'm not, me and DC aren't speaking right now. So I'm gonna give it some time. So they can do whatever they want. Um, as far as films go, which I'm super excited about, I'm a movie guy. I agree with Steven. I want to see, since we've got Supergirl, we got a decent Superman start. I'd like to see a Brainiac invasion. I would like to see Supergirl's origin done right on film instead of animation or through comics. That'd be great. At least Gunn's take. And for me, I'd like to see the Syndicate. I'd like to see a crisis situation between the two Earths. I think we've already got set up for it. A lot of people are predicting Bizarro without giving away any
Oh
spoilers.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm leaning more towards we might get a Syndicate. He wasn't a complete idiot. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
that's what I would like to see on film. I'd like to see the opposites and the whole story kind of being told.
I'd just like to cover for those who don't know what the Syndicate is, who aren't deep cut DC guys. Crime Syndicate is the evil universe version of the Justice League, and there are analogs
Mhm.
to all the main Justice League characters, but they're bad guys.
Yeah. That would be
Gangsters.
cool. They
And it's already
did,
cast, just
yeah.
use the Snyder versions.
That
Hey, that could work.
now I'm imagining the DCU version of the Cavalry, and it's beautiful. So, Kurt, what would you like to see going forward?
So in the comics, yes, de-aged John, but they need to get back into the planet. They need to get back into having a cast of characters, because it's the comics are just too much about the superpowers right now. Every time I pick it up, it's too much focus on that and not quite enough on
The character.
the
The
character, but also
man.
the power of Kent. I have Superman is three persons to me, right? You've got Clark is the person, Superman is his personality that he puts on when he's in the suit, and then he's got Kent, which he puts on for people in the planet and in public. And so only really Lois and the Kents get to see Clark, and we never
Hmm,
get enough Kent right now.
hmm.
And I would really love to see Clark doing something with the pen, both in the comics and in the film, if it is a villain that they couldn't defeat a Superman, but he can, he can write a story somehow.
I love that story in the
That
comic. Yeah.
that would be good. Um, so yeah, I'd like to see that. Definitely continue Clark and Lois being a team. Build that team. Like what Clark can't do, she can. What she can't, he can. Um, but the only things I'd say I are the things I don't want to see in the films, not because they're bad, just because I've had enough of them. So no Doomsday, just four live action Doomsdays now. Or is it three? We've had four live action films or whatever, so we just don't need a Doomsday anymore. Um, don't want a Death of Superman in any way. Um, just some characters that we haven't had like in the film. So Brainiac would be good if he's done right. Like B13 maybe, not necessarily like a Milton Fine because Smallville overdid Milton Fine, but a
Hmm.
B13 fun. Um, something that challenges Superman's morals would be good in terms of do I keep doing it? So if you could do something with the Camelot Falls or the For Tomorrow type storylines where it's Superman has to make a choice, he doesn't necessarily make the right one, and that could continue that theme. It has some consequences. He has to put things right. You get your big action scene at the end, whatever. But something like that that actually plays with the core of the character and the
Yeah.
moral choices he makes is where I'd like to see it go,
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
rather than a Doomsday. Because
Hmm.
no,
That was exactly here. We're gonna land. I'm finally gonna do it. My issue with the Tom King run. Because I did think that was a missed opportunity to challenge his morality, not because the son is bisexual, because the son is being very, very public about his personal life. And I thought that because that secret identity, how important protecting those you love is through a certain amount of secrecy, I thought that could have been a very interesting, again, they're a team, but they don't agree. And instead of him being, oh, yes, I support you, son, in everything you do, it would have been almost that corn sweat Superman of, come on, guys. Okay, you're this, it's great, you're in love. I love that for you. Do you have to be in front of cameras all the time, telling people who your loved ones are, where you are? I mean, that I felt was almost a violation of what you said earlier is protect, like sacrifice for the people you love. Do
Hmm.
the hard thing, do the painful thing, save the squirrel for, the people you love. Okay, that was one of does anybody have a favorite moment in that movie? Because there are so many I can't pick, but that and the crypto hug might have been my favorites in
Oh,
the
well,
movie.
my favorite, there's so many good moments, but the moment, spoiler alert, when Crypto comes in,
Just
interrupts Luthor, and just
like
beats the crap out of him like
Hulk
a
and
dog toy,
Loki, puny
I
god,
I
only yeah.
laughed so hard the first time, and every time I've seen it, I laugh again. That and Crypto jumping in Lois's lap in the Mr. Terrific flying machine and pretending he doesn't hear her. Because our dog
Oh yeah.
Loki was very, it looked a lot like Crypto and did those things. Just the fact that Crypto was, I'm not hearing you, like those, because those were relatable moments. There were lots of great moments, but I really liked those moments.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a picture. That's I don't know if you can see it. That's our old dog Loki.
Okay, that's pretty
It's
similar.
pretty
Yeah,
yeah.
it was rough the first
that's
time.
pretty
It
similar.
was because he was not a good dog, but he didn't have anybody. Yeah. Any highlights from the gun film that are not crypto?
The
Um,
first golly,
The first what?
golly, when he falls out of the sun chair right at the
oh yeah.
beginning, and the first thing he says is golly or something like that, and it's just like, oh, this is good.
Golly, yeah,
I
We're
golly.
safe. This is gonna go.
that was another Kansas moment because he'll say shit, but he won't blaspheme. And that is a part of that world.
Yeah.
There are some friends I have to watch that around because they're fine with the worst swears, but nothing with God. And
Nope.
I thought that was neat. To me, I freaking loved that Mr. Terrific fight with Lois in the foot. Okay, you were
Oh
going
That's
there?
my
yeah.
favorite
Oh
part.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, Deadguy, you talk about it then. I'm not going to steal yours.
Oh, it's you can steal it. You can have it. It's not mine. I didn't make it. I
Yeah,
sat
but
there and
go
watched it
ahead.
and enjoyed it just like you did. To me, it stole the show. I mean, every scene with him in it, he's stealing the scenes. Thank God they didn't put him and Clark too much together because he would have stole all that. But man, that fight got me so jazzed up. What's weird is everything Gunn gave me with Superman, I expected it. It was almost like it was meant to be. So I wasn't even surprised. I walked away like, wow, that was so well done. It felt comfortable. Like I'm picking out like Mr. Terrific and all these new characters, and Hawk Girl is awesome. I love that shit. So I was just like, man, for me it was the Mr. Terrific fight. Just the
Yeah.
way that he was able to control those orbs and knew what he was gonna do and catching them and then riding them around, and he's just like gun fingering people. Like I'm just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Something I did not expect in a Superman movie.
The first time I was watching all the action, subsequent times I watch her because just the filmmaking in those moments where they had to shoot that thing and then, hi, Kitty. They had to shoot that thing, edit it together, at least with the rough in on the effects, and then have her react in only about 3 or 4 takes. That must have been an exhausting day to get
She's
that
just
right.
like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. It was her as a reporter, right? Like it was so, I mean, I expect big things from Mr. Terrific. You notice he's the one they didn't douche up in Peacemaker yet.
Yeah, that's true. You know, though,
He's above it all.
that the interesting thing was Lois knows Superman and sees all the things he could do,
Yeah.
but she was astounded by yet
Well, it was just
by
everywhere.
Mr.
Like that
Terrific.
was freaking cool.
Though I did forget a key moment. His Superman speech at the end to Luthor,
Oh, that ties everything together. It
that
ties in why there's so many characters. Yeah.
touches me every time, more than any other emotional moment. That touches me every single time. It was just so well done. And as you said, there was a stumble as he was speaking, like he was speaking from the heart, and it wasn't rehearsed. I mean, that's the essence of Superman, and I really loved that.
And he's just
mhm.
going with it. And that made it extra poignant that Luthor had clearly rehearsed his response. Like he clearly knew what he was going to say in that moment. And he gets cut off by a dog.
I've been rehearsing this for
Yeah.
months.
Yeah. Like he knew it was a villain speech. And so we are running over. We're just nerding right now. Guys, thanks very much for coming on Men Liking Stuff about Superman. I will post link to Dead Guy's channel in the description box in this video. Please check out his stuff. He's doing really, really great stuff to make comic books more accessible. And I'm not just saying that because I've done stuff in it. It's really, I mean, it's a lot of work what you do, and it's
Fun.
quality. So
Thank you.
yeah, Stephen, we'll figure out if we're going to link to anything with you because you don't do stuff as you. I was
Yeah,
kind of
that's
surprised you
true.
said
Oh,
yes.
I just want to add in my wanting John Kent de-aged. Do not anyone interpret it. It's because I have a problem with him being bisexual. It's not that at all. It's all those years of good
No,
stories
no.
that were
It
lost.
if you read the Super Sons, it is so wholesome that we really did get robbed of those, slightly
The
older
childhood
years.
years, yeah.
The kid
It
years.
was good. And I mean that might be something I'd like to see in the movies as them as parents.
Eventually.
It's never been done in film. It might be too hard because James Gunn says that film sets aren't a place for kids or
Well,
dogs, so
so it
probably
was done in
unlikely. But
Superman Returns. That kid was his son.
oh God, that's another. Okay, you've brought back two memory holes now.
Touche,
The
salesman.
the Brian Michael Bendis run, and now Superman Returns.
Hey, listen, I'm a big Superman Returns fan, so come at me. I think
But
I love Brandon Routh. I thought he was
oh
he did a
fantastic.
damn good job
yeah,
as
And
Clint
Parker Posey
Reeves.
should have been Lois Lane.
that was my issue with
I
it.
also
Oh.
agree. I had no idea.
Yeah,
I never thought of that before, but you're so right.
she was
That's
right there.
I'm
yeah,
a
yeah.
big Parker Posey fan from a long time
It
ago.
was
Yeah.
So
it was the only
yeah.
chemistry Superman had
Yeah.
with a female in that movie
I
was her,
just
not Lois.
I'm so glad the Hackman route Luthor is gone. I love Gene Hackman. He's a great actor, but that was never Luthor to me. I think that Nicholas Hoult just nailed it. And Kevin Spacey was very much that Hackman clone
Yeah, I
in
mean,
Superman Returns. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed this. See you on the next Men Liking Stuff.